and the broader Indigenous community in Minneapolis will gather and celebrate the New Year of Nawi Tekpat in a public and family-focused celebration from March 11th through the 13th, 2016, at the Minneapolis American Indian Center, hosted by Indigenous Roots. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Minneapolis that March 11th, 2016, is recognized as Mexica New Year in the City of Minneapolis. Be it further resolved that the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Minneapolis recognize and celebrate the richness and diversity of the Indigenous Mexican community and urge the community to join the celebration of Mexica New Year at the Minneapolis American Indian Center.
Well, how are we doing? I'm really excited. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm sorry, you're used to that, so. I'm from Minneapolis. We have our Calpule Mexica Yolot, which means Mexican heart. We are in the community, and we're participating with this indigenous movement, which I strongly believe that is very important for us to be encouraging our youth, or encouraging new generations to not lose roots, to not lose their background, because that's an identity that has been damaged and lost throughout the years. So I really thank all the people who have been working so hard year after year, our community, our youth, our children, who are participating as well and being part of this great community of ours, which we are in. We're pretty much all over, but our group here is in Minneapolis. I'm from Mexico. I'm from Guadalajara. So my ancestors are Huicholes, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
Good morning. I would like to thank Council Member Cano for her initiative and for supporting this resolution. I also want to thank the all Minneapolis council members for their continued support the last 4 years in passing these proclamations and resolutions. We in the Latino Mexica community are extremely happy. We are Indigenous people. We are descendants of the first peoples of this continent. So we are extremely happy to have this resolution and extremely happy that the city of Minneapolis is recognizing all Indigenous peoples and recognizing their celebrations and their ceremonies. So thank you. We also want to thank the other groups, the other leaders, community leaders, Benjamin from Coapa, and also Monica from Huitzilin, who, we all work in solidarity, we all work in unity, how it should be in our communities, in our Indigenous communities, and how it should be in the communities of color and all of the communities, period. So we work in unity, and we come together in a big effort to be part of this celebration for the greater community. We bring together so that people will have understanding of the cultures, particularly the Mexica and other Indigenous nations, so that they come to this weekend-long celebration and have a little more understanding of also the people who live here. I think that's very important to have in the city of Minneapolis, as well as Minnesota as a whole. How can we how do we work to put our differences aside, regardless of what country we came from, regardless of the color of our skin, to come together and actually move forward as a community to make things happen, to make positive things happen, and to make changes in our community. So again, thank you all who are here present, supporting the Mexica New Year and supporting this resolution. Thank you very much.
I'm going to call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Minneapolis City Council to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Yang. Here. Johnson. Here. Quincy. Here. Warsami. Present. Goodman.
Present.
Fry. Here. Palmisano.
Present.
Gordon. Here. Kano.
Here.
Reich. Here. Bender.
Here.
Glidden.
Here.
President Johnson.
Here.
There are 13 members present.
We have all members present this morning. So we have a quorum, obviously. Next item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda, and there's a couple motions. A motion by myself to amend the agenda to include the order under the order of resolutions, a resolution recognizing April 2016 as Parkinson's Disease Month. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next, we have a motion by Councilmember Kano to amend the agenda to include under the order of resolutions a resolution recognizing March 11, 2016 as Mexica New Year. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. With that, a motion to adopt the agenda is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next, we have acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 12th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. Next, we have referral of petitions, communications, and reports of the city officers to the proper committees and departments.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. The reports of the standing committees are next, and the first one to report is Community Development and Regulatory Services, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam President. The Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee is bringing forward 11 items for approval this morning. Items 1 through 4 are land sales. Item 5 is elimination of the Housing Board of Appeals membership and creation of an administrative review process. Item 6 are the regular license, business, and gambling applications. Item 7 is a license settlement conference recommendation. Item number 8 is authorizing a submittal of a U.S. labor loan for the Tech Hire Partnership Grant. Item number 9 is a restructuring of the Plaza Verde loan. Item number 10 is round 5 of Green Homes North. And item number 11 is allowing Jack Links to apply for a Minnesota Investment Fund loan. The city is required to sign off on loan applications to the state. With that, I'll move items 1 through 11 for approval this morning.
Councilmember Goodman has moved items 1 through 11 on the Community Development Report, all items. Any discussion on any of those items? Okay, just a sec here. Yeah. Councilmember Kano.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to pull item number 9 out for discussion and make a motion to delay by a cycle.
Okay, why don't you do that? Councilmember Kano has pulled up item 9. Why don't you speak to that?
Thank you. So item number 9 is about a project that's in the 9th Ward, the Plaza Verde loan restructure. And we've been working a lot with city staff and the community members who have raised questions about the details of the actual project financing in terms of the stakeholders that were engaged and how they were engaged to get to this point. So I fully acknowledge that I was part of this conversation at the CDRS committee, the cycle that moved it forward to where we are today. And I got calls and emails from 9th Ward residents on Wednesday and then early Thursday morning asking more questions. So I feel like it would be important for us to support me and having more conversations with my community residents and Midtown Phillips Neighborhood Association specifically, who was a financing partner of this deal from day one. So this is a sensitive project in that it's had a lot of support from the city. It has a lot of different stakeholders who are part of building the vision for the future of this corridor, and a significant building that has helped to establish the Latino identity of the corridor as well as the immigrant identity of the corridor. So what I'm asking today is a delay of one cycle on this particular project so that we can have more time to get the city staff together with the Midtown Phillips Neighborhood Association residents, the treasurer, the board chair, and go over the details of the questions that they're asking, make sure that we are finding common ground with our residents who I am here, of course, to represent. That is who I work for. And I had the opportunity to talk to Rebecca Perel, our city staff member, who's been working diligently on this project. And she mentioned that delaying it by cycle would not interfere with a closing date as it is set right now. Of course, if things change in the process of those 2 weeks, if we want to make any tweaks or anything like that, that would impact the closing date. But as of now, I would like to delay this by a cycle so that I can make sure that my constituents are well connected to the details of this project, that I can stand up 100% behind the city staff recommendations, which unfortunately at this time with the questions that were raised within the last 24 hours, I can't do. I have other projects that I've been working on over the last 2 days. So it would be great if I could just get the council members to support me in delaying this by a cycle and helping me figure out how to make sure that we're meeting our residents' needs and our neighborhood association needs when it comes to being one of the major players in refinancing our community development projects.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Glidden has seconded the motion. Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd ask the council to not delay this loan restructure and the loan assumption. The loan is set to close at the end of March. We have a 3-week cycle coming in front of us, not a 2-week cycle as a result of the free week. If Councilmember Cano's constituents want a further briefing, they certainly can have that once we approve the loan assumption.
Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, I spoke to Rebecca Perel yesterday, and she confirmed with me that a delay of one cycle would not negatively impact the ultimate goal or outcome of what has already been set in motion. I would like to have the opportunity to meet with my residents and the staff to go over the details of the questions that they've been asking over email and ensure that we have the proper city staff at the table, such as anyone connected to the NRP program, the city attorney's office, and of course, CPED.
Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, first off, I'd like to say that this loan restructuring I'm really excited about because, one, it gets a property filled, and two, it's for both minority as well as new American business owner. And as we try and build wealth in communities of color, I think this is an extraordinary means to that end. I guess my question was if Councilmember Cano will yield, and of course she does not need to. What are the questions that remain that are of concern specifically?
One specific.
Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam President. One specific question is about the intent of the initial investment in supporting non-private partners. So looking at what is the role of the financing of the city and neighborhood association specifically when the loans switch hands from, in this case, what was a nonprofit developer, a community developer connected to a mission, vision-based work, and now moving forward to what you would consider a private individual. So I think these are questions that we need to have in terms of just being on the same page with our community about our intent and how we move this money forward in these projects. And again, it's really, I don't necessarily think that, I appreciate other council members' interest in my ward. I appreciate other council members' careful attention to the projects that are in my ward and to the questions that my residents are raising. And I would like to have time to meet with my residents specifically to really get at the root questions that they're presenting on these issues. Like I said, these questions were raised within the last 24 hours, and I want to have, do proper time to meet with my residents and the city staff to make sure that everybody's on the same page, which right now we're not.
Has the deal changed from a nonprofit deal to a private deal since the CDRS meeting?
That's where things are. I'm sorry.
Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam President. That's where things would be moving. The idea is that eventually NDC would step out of the financing of this operation and that it would go into the hands of a private individual.
Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a loan assumption issue. When we, as the city, authorize loans from various sources, including NRP loans, we don't put into the loan documents what the moral obligation or intent is or is not. The intent was to revitalize this building that was sitting vacant over a long period of time. The intent was to forgive the loan in 5-year chunks as long as the building remained one in which these immigrant businesses could be located. Nothing about this loan assumption has changed. Perhaps the kinds of immigrant businesses have changed, but other than that, there has been no change. I'll also note that there is no requirement that any NRP organization give permission for the loan assumption. Our requirement as the city is to make sure the building is used in a similar way. The refinancing done by Sunrise Bank and LISC, which is also a nonprofit, guarantee that the building will be used in a similar way, albeit there might be different immigrant businesses in the building. I have had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Perrell as well as our city attorney, who were both in the community development meeting. This item was a discussion item. It wasn't a consent item. It was discussed. LISC and Sunrise Bank were there. There is a good amount of support from city staff to move forward on this loan assumption, and I would urge us to do it today.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, this is a little bit confusing for me. I'm not on the committee, and I haven't been tracking this very much. And sitting here listening to kind of the division, I'm trying to see if there's some middle ground that we could get to somehow. It does occur to me that even if we approved this, it doesn't close till the end of March, and there still might be lots of opportunity for discussions and dialogue. I did also check in briefly with staff on it, and it seems as though a delay, if there were no changes, things could just move along smoothly. So the issue is whether or not there'd be any changes. I do notice on the report, too, that the NRP funds aren't going to be recovered to any level, or they're forgivable in 2019. So there's also until 2019, something might be able to be figured out. So I could see me being comfortable delaying it or moving forward with it. So I'm still stuck having to make my own decision. So if anybody wants to weigh in on that, but it does seem like there could be chances for some dialogue. And I guess my question would be, what if we approved it, and what if there were some deeper discussions about it, and there was some understanding that NRP funds could be recovered and repaid somehow sooner? Would then we have to come back to the council with any of those changes, and would there be time to do that even before March, before the closing date? And nobody has an answer to that. That's fine, too.
Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is no opportunity for NRP funds to be recovered. That's the point. This was a forgivable loan over a 15-year period, and each of the first 5 years of this period, the use was exactly the same and the loan was forgiven. Now we're 2 years into the next 5-year period. There is a loan assumption process going on, and they will be required under the conditions of the city's loan that's still in the project for almost $300,000 and this NRP loan till 2019, that they also have to keep the building in the same use as they have had it in the past. So there isn't going to be any NRP money to recover. In 2019, the last portion of the loan will be recovered. I can guarantee you the purpose of this motion, and I bet there'll be another motion next, would be to say, let the NRP people have their money back. There isn't any reason to allow the money to go back. The use is exactly the same. So there is no reason to delay. There's plenty of time between now and the loan closing to discuss with the neighborhood that the building use will be the same, because we have to make that guarantee. We also have a loan in the deal for over $300,000.
Madam President?
Yeah. Who's?
I'm not sure if I still have the floor. So that's the part I think that there seems to be confusion about, because it's a forgivable loan, and usually when someone has a forgivable loan, there's some stipulations that it gets forgiven, or it might not be forgiven if you don't follow those stipulations. And so I don't have the documents from NRP. I don't know what the requirements were. I think that I trust my colleagues here probably know better than I, but it seems like my colleagues are divided on it a little bit. But so that was my issue, that would give them time to all come to agreement and say, oh, look, we've reviewed the documents and this forgivable loan will still be forgiven. There's no terms that are violated by this transaction or not. But I'm still stuck, but I appreciate the discussion to help me sort things out.
Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the fortunate accident of meeting Kate Speed from LISC last week when I was in an affordable housing trip to Phoenix, Arizona with Clues. And her and I had the opportunity to talk about the Plaza Verde project quite a bit and have been in touch over the weekend and in the days leading up to this discussion. So I'm happy to say that my office has been working with them on trying to figure out how to address some of the concerns that have been raised since Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning, and continued email chains throughout Thursday and Friday morning. So I believe that they have some ideas that I would like to be able to listen to and to engage with. I also know that Heart of the Beast is another player and another partner here who's very important to this cultural and economic corridor for East Lake Street, one that has been struggling for a long time. So as the council member of the area, I respectfully ask for my colleagues' support in letting me handle this, in letting me work with my constituents to address the issues that are being raised. Delaying this by a cycle is not going to impact the ultimate closing date, as Rebecca Perel has stated with me over the phone. Again, I need the time to be able to pull the right people together in a room so we can all be on the same page and these questions can be answered, which today I cannot stand behind 100% this decision that's coming forward before us, given the questions have been raised Wednesday, Thursday, leading up until today. So I just respectfully ask that my colleagues support me in doing the work that I have been elected to do. It's not going to impact anything negatively for Councilmember Goodman's ward. It's not going to impact anything negatively for Councilmember Jacob Fry's ward. This is something that falls in the 9th Ward, where I have been elected to work with my community residents who have reached out to me, asking me for questions and help in resolving this issue. That's what I'm asking for today, a delay.
Councilmember Warsame.
Thank you, Madam President. In terms of this issue, what I'm quite positive about is that this went through the normal channels that we go through. The staff who have worked on this for a while have recommended this loan restructuring to pass. They've brought it to CD. It was unanimously approved in CD, and I believe Council Member Cano is a member of CD, and if I'm not mistaken, actually spoke on favor of it. It passed Cal on Wednesday. Today, we are at the final stage. You have an immigrant, person of color, businessman who's investing a great deal of money into this building. And what we are saying is, we should you're a special kind of investor. Therefore, we're going to change the procedure that the council has, 24 hours or 20 hours or an hour before the final decision. If there were concerns from the community, if there were concerns from the neighborhood, these should have been aired at the committee. It should have been aired at Cal. And I haven't seen this type of delay or this type of tactic. And I'm not sure, and it's also, and I don't want to answer to or say anything more, but it's evident that some of the talk and some of the sound bites that I saw on social media and on the general media was to say that this type of investor is not welcome in this building, which I find very unfortunate, in this day and age, because this individual who is taking a risk, who is moving from Washington State to come here, wants to rehabilitate this building, and has even said on the record that he's willing to work with the people who have leases and the tenants who are in the building. So I'm not sure, why we're going through this, but I would urge my colleagues to pass this item. Thank you.
Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree that it's unfortunate a little, I think, that we're getting so into the details of this at council instead of at the committee, where we generally do allow for more time and staff presentations so that council members can make more informed decisions. So for those of us who are not on the committee, we're just all kind of trying to catch up. As I spoke with council members yesterday, my understanding was that the real question here is the forgivable loan that was given out by the neighborhood organization. This is something that I think at committee everyone was speaking about as a great success, because this is what the loans were supposed to do. We were subsidizing a building with both neighborhood funding and city taxpayer dollars. It wasn't penciling, right? We had to subsidize it. But now we have a private investor that has come in and is investing private dollars to create jobs and to create space for people to use in that building. So that's a success. It means the loans worked. So now we have this detail left of what happens with a forgivable loan. One thing I struggle with a bit is what is the role for the city in that, because the loan isn't with the city. It's between the neighborhood organization and NDC, and NDC is the entity that would need to pay back the loan. So anyway, at the end of the day, I think these details, again, really should have been worked out. I understand the request for more time, but it seems like there has been a lot of time and discussion and outreach to the neighborhood organization. And I don't even know what the city could do. Perhaps the city could put in funds into the deal in order to allow for NDC to pay back the loan. I don't know that we could force NDC to pay back the loan. That's not usually a role that the city plays in individual contracts between a nonprofit organization and another nonprofit organization. So I don't know if the chair has details about those kind of more technical or legal issues to provide. But anyway, with my understanding of where we're at and the role that the city would play in this loan negotiation, I don't see any reason to delay I don't know what outcome there would be that can't be achieved, again, as Councilmember Gordon said, with just more kind of time to discuss these details with the entities that are really responsible legally for this loan agreement.
Any further discussion on Councilmember Cano's motion to delay one cycle? Seeing none, all in approval say aye. Opposed, nay. The nays have it. That motion fails. So back to the community development agenda as moved by Councilmember Goodman. All items 1 through 11. Any further discussion on any of those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Fry.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Nay.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes and 1 nay.
That report is approved. Next, we have Health, Environment, and Community Engagement, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you, Madam President. The Health, Environment, and Community Engagement Committee is bringing 10 items forward for consideration today. The first is the marijuana decriminalization ordinance that would remove marijuana from the list of prohibited drugs in our health code. The second is confirming the mayoral reappointment of Harvey Hoffman to the Minneapolis Advisory Committee on People with Disabilities. The third item is East Harriet Farmstead's Neighborhood Revitalization Program Plan modification. Fourth is the Hawthorne Neighborhood Priority Plan for Community Health Dialogues, approving that. The fifth item is authorizing a data use agreement with Minnesota Hospital Association. The sixth item is authorizing an amendment to our contract with Electronic Health Record Systems to support our school-based clinics in our high schools. Seventh item is authorizing an amendment to our contract with Stair Step Foundation, increasing the contract for National Diabetes Prevention Program classes. The eighth item is authorizing another amendment to a contract, and this one's with Wetland Habitat Restorations. It's increasing the contract by $31,600 for community engagement and a demonstration pilot project in the North Side Greenway. The ninth item is authorizing agreements with Tree Trust and Wetland Habitat Restorations to provide tree planting and community outreach services for our urban forestry program. And the final item, probably the most significant item, is authorizing execution of 23 solar community garden subscription agreements with 4 suppliers for a term of 25 years. And this will be the first time that the city becomes a subscriber in a solar community garden. And I'm happy to take questions, but I will be moving all of those items forward for approval.
Councilmember Gordon has moved the Health, Environment, and Community Engagement report. Anyone want to pull anything off or speak on any of those items? Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to speak just briefly on item number 1, which is the marijuana decriminalization ordinance. Right now, at the state level, we have a statute saying that minor marijuana possession is a petty misdemeanor, while at the city level, we have an ordinance classifying it as a misdemeanor, which of course is a crime. And while the vast majority of the time we do charge under the state statute, which is a lesser offense, there are instances in which we have charged under the city ordinance. And it's problematic for multiple reasons. One, because it's a crime. 2, because it's a permanent dark mark on your record that could detract from your ability to get a job. And 3, I believe that crimes and serious charges should be reserved for matters that are seriously injurious to society. And possessing a joint just quite simply does not rise to that level. Additionally, we know that black and white populations admit to smoking pot at practically the same rates. However, communities of color, and specifically black men, are charged at rates 5 to 10 times higher than that of whites. So the enforcement is clearly taking place in a discriminatory fashion. And at the end of the day, while this action in and of itself will not have a major impact because we usually charge under the state statute, it's an important first step towards decriminalization. So I would appreciate my colleagues' support on it.
Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to be short on this and thank Councilmember Fry and Councilmember Andrew Johnson for putting this forward. I think the one thing that got my attention was looking at the RCA and seeing the city attorney saying that the change in the ordinance will be of minimal or no impact because the Minneapolis police use the state statute when dealing with small amounts of marijuana possession cases. And